Let me tell you this.
Go. It hasn't went yet. Go. Oh, never mind.
Yeah.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to a special episode of From the Chair Confessionals. I am Tony Wagner, the executive producer with the most, joined tonight by the host who thinks he's the best, who can't even predict his show correctly, Mr. Noss, and his very special guest, the wonderful, truly talented megastar, Mr. Matthew Gravett. Thank you, Matt, for joining me tonight to insult Mr. Noss.
So how you doing, Matt? I do have to let everybody know Matt's staying at a hotel and his Wi-Fi is not the best. So I think we have him back now. How you doing, Matt?
What's up?
How you doing?
Oh, good.
All right.
I'm doing good.
So we're doing these confessionals as part of the Special Olympics. So tell us a little bit about your Special Olympics experience.
Well, walked away with a lot of medals, met some wonderful people. I had a good time. Too bad health issues and just different injuries slowed me down and finally made me quit. I had fun on a team that I played on back in the early 2000s, which was called the Outlaws. We ran roughshod. We won the state title, or we won the gold medal 7 out of 8 years.
Wow.
Then I got to do some other fun and interesting stuff after I got that.
Very cool.
I finally got to step in the ring, which was one of my childhood dreams. So I wrestled under the name Matthias and got to meet a lot of wonderful people there, guys that I'm friends with still today. I would love to run into them again. I miss seeing everybody.
Yeah. And just to give you guys a background, the training school that I talked about in previous videos was the one that Matt and I were involved in. He also, at that training school, and I'll let you tell a little bit more about this, worked the music for a little bit. I was saying you worked the music for a little bit. You want to tell us a little bit about that when you did the wrestling? I think he might have froze for a minute, but so for those,
What's that? I was waiting for you to finish.
a little bit of the music, playing the music for us when you were wrestling, doing the wrestling stuff. You want
I
to tell us a little bit about that?
When I doing that again, I met a lot of good people. It was fun. I got to do it with one of my longtime friends. Then I met some more friends, and I love the business so much. It's been a dream of mine for a long time. And when I finally got to do it, it was absolutely amazing. I wish the school was still going today. I wish I could still do it. But it's one of them things where you get to do stuff and then all good things come to an end. And one day I hope to go on a new adventure in the wrestling business.
And I'm sure you will. Normally I have a Tonetta. Sorry about that. Go ahead.
I think he froze again. But anyway, before we get going, for those fans of you that may know that there is an actual younger executive producer than myself, and that's my highly talented grandson who has more talent than Mr. Noss himself, Atreus.
Yes.
We lost
We-
Matt. We lost
He'll
Matt
be
for a minute.
he'll be back for a minute. His connection dropped. We'll just have to let
But
him back.
anyways, so for those fans that don't know, whenever Trey cries, Nathan's fired. So let's see if he can make it through a whole 2-hour podcast without being fired.
And let me tell you, this podcast doesn't have a very good severance package. So, here's Matt back.
Although you have been fired more during this podcast, I think, than I have in my entire career.
Sorry about that.
It's all good. We
totally
understand technical difficulties.
So, like I was saying before, and now since Matt's back, we've got a younger executive producer in the house than myself, and that's my 1-year-old grandson.
Yeah.
Being a part of that, I've had a lot of stuff.
Go ahead, Matt. Oh, he froze again. There he is.
Oh, there he is.
I think you're back.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Tony.
I was just saying, Nathan's been fired on this show more so than I have in my career because he really has to worry about the little executive producer in the room. He's my heart and soul.
I can barely hear you.
Is that better?
Okay. Let's move on. I know Nathan's been looking really forward to this podcast. Not only is it confessionals, like Matt says, he's
I can barely hear you.
You got to take it, Nathan, if you can barely hear me.
Okay. Like Tony said, I've been looking forward to this for a long time because I think we lost him again for a minute. But any fans can understand staying in a hotel and having to deal with the hotel Wi-Fi. So
yes, it does. It does suck.
So, and I think he lost his connection completely again for a minute. Oh, and he's back again.
And he's back.
I'm back.
Well, good. This podcast really isn't the same without him.
So, I don't know where he's at now. He kind of went towards the back of the room. Oh, there he is.
Okay. I'm back.
So as Tony was saying, can you hear me now? But by the way,
he's not going to.
Okay, well,
I barely can hear you.
No, he always says he will, but he doesn't.
My volume's up.
How about now?
Did you see the jerseys for this year? What?
they're the old ones, yeah.
Okay, no. You got 3 feet, and these were left varsity, the older ones. Maybe it would help if I actually put it on right.
Sorry about this, everybody. He's having some audio
Can you
difficulties.
hear me now?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Were you watching for a little bit?
Can you, this is gonna sound like a Verizon commercial, but can you hear me now?
Okay.
Come here,
How about now?
Can you hear me now?
Pages, buddy.
Wait, which one is it?
I don't
Can you hear us?
Yeah.
Okay, you can hear me now?
Mr. and Mrs. Brown.
Yes.
Okay. So as Tony was saying, I've been looking forward to this podcast for a long time because for the fans who don't know, you and I have been friends since I was like 3 years old.
Mr. Brown knows something. Almost furry near the left.
So let's get into some wrestling talk.
Okay.
Tell us about what your true feelings are about AEW.
All the other two kids marked wanted on voyage. And as they draw near,
I think that AEW
can't help it.
is sinking because
You're wondering if you're a very small bear.
it fluctuates too much. They've got a good plethora of talent, but the roster is too full. Adding ROH isn't going to be able to get that many guys TV time. And taking guys, using them a little bit, and then pushing them to the side. Miro, Vance Archer, they all got used for a little bit and then pushed to the side. And that whole thing with MJF and throwing the liquid on the kid, that's not a good picture for their champion.
Okay, let's talk about the MJF thing for a minute.
Guys, come on.
Let's talk about the MJF thing for a minute. To be fair to MJF, and I can't believe I'm defending him because anybody that watches this podcast knows that I don't
Hey,
like
Nos,
him.
the baby's crying. You're fired.
Oh, damn it!
Right
but
in mid sentence, you got fired, boy.
It's like working for Vince McMahon.
There we go.
So anyway, to defend MJF, and again, I can't believe I'm doing that because anybody that watches this knows I hate MJF. We shouldn't be blaming MJF for the tequila part of throwing the water or throwing the liquid. You should blame the mom and the security for letting her bring in hard liquor in the first place. Because for anybody that's been to a wrestling event, they don't sell tequila at a wrestling event. The most alcohol that they serve is like maybe a tap beer.
What?
And so
Go ahead.
if you're MJF and you look into that cup, and you're gonna think that's water. Should he have thrown it at the kid? No, but you can't blame him for thinking it was water.
My biggest thing with AEW is they have all these big announcements. We've got a big announcement, and then the owner doesn't even do it. So how are you supposed to? Well, let me put it this way. He gets his ratings off of people dying. The Briscoes never had anything to do with the company until Jay died. And then he used Mark to make money.
That wasn't AEW's fault. That
So
was Warner.
then the ratings went up. And then the very next week, their ratings went into the toilet.
And again, not to be argumentative, but he is doing right by the Briscoes because one, he is taking care of their family and the kids that have been injured in the crash. And two, it was Mark's decision to work for AEW and to honor his brother. And three, they just announced that at Supercard of Honor for Ring of Honor, they're putting up the ROH Tag Team Championships in the first ever Reach for the Sky ladder match in honor of Jay Briscoe. But now I want to get Tony's opinion on. Hold on, I want to get Tony's opinion on this because he is the number one Briscoe fan on this podcast so far. So.
Oh, I love the Briscoes.
Yeah. I don't agree that Tony Khan did it the wrong way because honestly, the Briscoes should have been on AEW from the very beginning. It was their media company they were on. Warner Brothers never wanted the Briscoes on AEW TV. It wasn't Tony Khan keeping the Briscoes from TV. It was Warner Media. Shame on them. And then after Jay Briscoe died, Warner Media changed their tune.
I know a lot of companies have done it. AEW's made money off of people's deaths. WWE's done it. Impact's done it. They've all done it. I've never agreed with it. But the biggest thing that I don't agree with AEW, I know they got permission, but they made money off of a guy that never stepped foot in the ring. Never even they wasn't even thought of when the guy died. If anybody should have been able to make money off of Owen, it should have been the place that he wrestled at. And wrestled at and gave him a lot of money for a lot of years. Made him a megastar for so many years. I don't think that Tony Khan should have went down that road because he never wrestled for him.
But again, he had no choice because Martha Hart wasn't going to let Vince McMahon do anything for Owen Hart. Because of Vince being the biggest ass in wrestling when he was part of it, and constantly putting the breaking the copyright agreement that Martha Hart had, then there was no way that Martha was gonna let Vince do anything with WWE. So I actually have no problem with AEW doing the Owen Hart Cup.
Uh-oh, fired number 2.
Because that's what Owen wanted.
Good job, Nate.
Well, don't thank me. Thank Trey.
So,
he fired me. Hey, buddy. Wait, he's not crying. Does that mean I'm rehired?
There he goes.
Oh,
no,
damn it.
Because he's crying again.
I was hired for all of 30 seconds.
You're fired, Nate. Time
Like
to
I said-
get a new host.
Like I said, the kid knows, and Nathan obviously isn't doing a good job hosting tonight. I don't know. It could be because he's halfway tired too, but
anyway, I think the only person that could have worked for it was Martha Hart. Is the person that did because, like I said, she wasn't going to work with Vince. Vince pissed her off too much, and she still blames Vince for killing Owen.
I think if Triple H and Stephanie would have went to her with it, I think she would have done it. I don't think she would have turned him down.
Yeah, but the problem is when the idea of the Owen Hart Cup came about, Vince was still in charge. And as long as Vince has anything to do with the WWE, Martha Hart, in my opinion, won't work for her. Or, I mean, won't work with them.
So I got one for you, and I think it's an interesting topic. Now that Vince is not in charge of anything, there is word going around that one of the headliners this year is going to be Benoit.
Okay, Benoit is an interesting topic to me because as I agree with you that he should be in the Hall of Fame because to me you can't, regardless of what your opinion is on what he did or didn't do, which we'll get
Supposedly did.
We'll get more in depth in that in a minute. Regardless of what your opinion is, his wrestling career on its own should be enough to get him into the Hall of Fame.
Yep.
But do I think it's going to happen? No, because there's too much differing opinions as far as public opinion goes. Tony, what do you think?
I'm with you guys. I totally agree. Chris Benoit, 100% on his wrestling ability, deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. As do I believe, as in like baseball, one person's not in the Hall of Fame that deserves to be in the Hall of Fame, but he's never going to be because he's banded because he bet on the game. Again,
Ironic.
Yeah. Ironically enough, Pete Rose will never be inducted in the Hall of Fame, period. I really hope that someday, and it's probably going to be when Vince McMahon is cold and dead, Benoit will finally take his rightful spot in the Hall of Fame. I'd love to see it this year, but, I think Vince has still got too much power.
I would have to agree with that. So let's get into the whole Benoit saga here for a minute, because I know you and I, Matt, have very passionate opinions, and Tony also, because him and I have talked about it.
And I've done extensive research on it.
I know you have, so that's why I wanted to bring this up when you were on the podcast. For the fans who don't know, give us a little overview on what happened with Chris Benoit.
Everything that they said that happened over them 3 days, there's so many holes in between that doesn't make sense. It was warmer up where they found Nancy than it was in the house. They found her over the garage in the pool room or in the pool table room. So missing phones. 911 calls made when they was all dead. Supposed to be dead. Wine bottles by Chris that wasn't, but none in his system. There was a knock at the door when Benoit was on the phone with Chavo. Text messages sent after they were supposed to be dead. So with and then something else I just found out not too long ago. There was there was detectives that come out and did interviews and the police reports, and one would contradict the other. So
Right.
none of them said the same thing.
Well, and I think a big part too is the fact that when the police first got there, they let the neighbor into the house for like 30 minutes before the police went inside. Now, that's a little weird to me because she could have moved any kind of evidence
Yeah.
around or changes the scene before the police ever got there. Then they get in there and they only spend 5 minutes in the place before they declare it a murder suicide.
So something else that I forgot to say. When the police got there, you know how the text messages said that the dogs were in the enclosed pool area?
Yeah.
You remember that? Well,
Yeah.
there was a report that come out that said the dogs were running around in the front yard in the police reports.
Interesting.
That they had to get the neighbor to corral the dogs. And that's how the neighbor ended up inside. They didn't stop her from going inside after she corralled the dogs.
Well, I know that that you and I think a certain person had something to do with it, but Tony, I, and Tonette had somebody on the podcast named D. Rat King, who has met Kevin Sullivan, and he said that if you ever meet Kevin Sullivan now, that he didn't think Kevin Sullivan had anything to do with it. And I say that just because to reiterate the fact that everybody has differing opinions on what might happen. And I think the main part of it is we're never going to truly know 100% what happened.
Something else, something that sticks in my mind with it is that Friday she was seen at the grocery store buying food. So for a barbecue and didn't buy any liquor. And the AC guy come over and was fixing the AC for him and said that everybody was happy-go-lucky.
Yeah, so if they're happy, then why,
And then sending a message to Chavo saying all my address is this and this and this. Why would he have to send the address to Chavo when Chavo was staying the night there like 3 days earlier?
I have no idea.
So there's so much. And I argue with people today. And I stand my ground. I don't think he did it.
Well, I agree with you on that, but like we said at the beginning of this topic,
I think he's innocent.
I don't think he'll be. I agree with Tony. I don't think he'll be put in the Hall of Fame until Vince is dead. Because I think Vince has too much power.
Go ahead.
And Nathan, you're fired again. Go ahead, Nat.
Nate, we got to get a new host. Somebody that I feel strongly about that I think belongs in the Hall of Fame. And I've said this once, and his body of work was amazing and never got the credit he deserved. Will always be my favorite wrestler, and that is Test. He belongs in the Hall of Fame. No doubt in my mind. He belongs in the Hall.
I would agree that he deserves consideration. I don't know if, with the standards that they set for the Hall of Fame, having to be like a world heavyweight champion usually. I'm not sure if he would get like a first.
He
ballot
held every title but that one.
Yeah, because somebody in creative would always stop it before it started.
Well, that's interesting,
And
because
that was
actually,
Vince.
Yep, that was Vince. Yep. And a lot of times I actually agree with Nathan, but I actually agree with Matt on this one. Test deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. Will he? Again, probably not until Vince McMahon's cold and dead.
Unless it's in the one of the posthumous awards.
Yeah.
But let's think about this for a minute. How different would the storylines have been if the original plan of Test would have went through?
No.
And he would have married Stephanie McMahon instead of Triple H in that storyline with the McMahon Helmsley era.
It was originally he was supposed to leave Stephanie at the altar, and then whoop Triple H on Armageddon and go win the world title.
Right, but can you imagine like the difference in the storyline? There would be no power couple, thing as much as it is now if they would have went with the Test angle instead of having Stephanie go with Triple H.
Test busted his butt for that company.
The one I didn't understand was why they didn't
his butt hardcore for that company.
Yeah, the one I didn't understand was when they didn't give him the ECW title against Bobby Lashley.
That Vince, he was supposed to win that, and then Vince screwed him over because of the promo.
No, that's right. Yeah, but you could have at least let him get pinned instead of letting him get counted out.
I know.
So, did you hear? Tony and I talked about this, but did you hear what Liv Morgan did for that fan that she made cry?
Yep. That was cool. I loved it.
Which they've actually used the promotional stuff now for WWE.
Oh,
I noticed.
Did you tell Tony about your makeout session at WrestleMania 19 with Victoria?
What makeout session with Victoria at WrestleMania 19? Is there more dirt on Nathan that I'm going to learn tonight?
It wasn't a makeout session. I didn't pay for the picture. I got it for free because they let me do it because of my disability.
Okay, now I don't want to hear your story because you're not going to tell me the truth. Mr. Gravett, would you please tell me the story?
So we're going through Fat Excess. We see Victoria. We go up there. Nate goes up there to take the picture, and she's all over him like white on rice. Trying to kiss him and everything else.
Okay, well, first he said that he almost had a date with Madison Rain, too, when he was working down at GNC in Kelso.
He told me that.
And now you're telling me
never
Victoria?
been confirmed of that, but I seen the Victoria thing firsthand because I was there.
Gotcha.
Now, can I explain what happened from my perspective?
No, Nosh, you can't. It's our guest's turn to talk.
I'm doing it anyway.
is his interview.
So what happened in this situation was, you remember when she was with Steven Richards?
I'm sorry, we seem to have lost contact with our host.
Steven Richards.
We seem to have lost contact with our host.
Yep.
He forgets the executive producer has all the power of the show.
So as I was saying,
He's back.
Oh, darn
when
it.
when she was with Steven Richards, she was doing that bite the ear thing and pulling it off to the side. And as I was taking the picture, that's what she did. She wasn't making out with me or anything. She bit my ear and kind of pulled it to the side. Now, to be fair, I'm not saying I didn't enjoy it, but there was no makeout session.
I mean, next you're going to say Trish Stratus sat on your lap, right?
No.
Well, I wouldn't believe that one either.
And then while we was there, we was doing questions with Stephanie, and Stephanie was getting in through the ring ropes, and he couldn't take his off of Stephanie's rear.
Well, nobody could. She was wearing white pants that you could see right through.
Well, Miss Helmsley, if you're listening tonight, you made the better choice with Hunter than you did with Nos. Nos would have just used you for your money.
Although at that Fan Access, I did flirt with Nydia.
And he didn't deny it either, did he, man?
Yes.
Well, I'm not an idiot. Hell, I'm not convinced that's not what Triple H is doing for a little bit.
That was a fun weekend.
Yes.
Nate almost got taken into a dark alley with some chick
That wasn't me. That was Scott.
as we was going to dinner.
No, that wasn't me. That was Scott. Remember? Because she wanted him to lick her.
It's always fun
But
when
she
you
tried
have
to get you to go into the dark alley, though.
Yeah, but I'm not an idiot. Although I did end up with Donna, so maybe my credibility went out the window.
It's always fun when Nate brings his friends on from the past because I get so much dirt on Mr. Nos that we get to use on the show throughout the next several months. So I really enjoy Matt coming on and telling all these stories.
Anytime you want to hear anything, let me know. I'm willing to come on anytime you want.
Go ahead. I have no secrets.
Yeah, that's what you told your previous co-host and you fired him, right?
That's only because he lied about me. There's a difference. All the stuff that Matt told you, other than the makeout part, was true.
Really?
She didn't make out with me. She bit my ear. How's that making out with somebody?
See what you did?
I think he agrees with Matt. Do you want to come get him, Amber? Okay, never mind. Just let him sit. Let him sit.
Good job, Nate.
Let him sit. Let him sit. He's fine.
Come here. Come here.
This host is evil.
No, he's fine.
This host is very evil.
No, grandson just doesn't like grandpa very much right now for some reason. I don't know. But anyways, no, moving.
So back
moving,
to wrestling.
Yep, back to wrestling.
I've had a lot of fun with him over the years. I can tell a lot of stuff, but as far as wrestling goes, I think that in if it keeps up the way it's going, Hunter's going to end up owning. Hunter and Stephanie will own WWE, and if Impact continues to have financial trouble, I think they're going to end up underneath the WWE banner.
Well, really, Impact doesn't have to worry about, like, other than paying the wrestlers, because they're just on YouTube and Access TV, which, unless you have an upper channel on Comcast or satellite, you don't get Access TV.
I watched it when I was up there on the hill, and and it was hard to catch it on.
Hey, but
But
Nathan,
as far as
go ahead, Matt.
as far as having issues with paying people, reminds me of Dixie. They will be able to stay afloat if they continue to have financial issues.
No, but I do like the fact that they brought Santino Marella in as their director of authority.
I think that if they end up underneath the WWE banner as another product or entity under their banner, it would be a plus for them. That way they can become nationwide again.
Yeah.
Hey, and then you know that Joe Hendry's song, he would actually become Edge's bitch.
Legitimately. So, what's your thoughts on that song, Matt?
I don't recognize the song.
He hasn't watched it in a while, Nathan. He just admitted that he hasn't watched it since he's been on the hill, remember?
Oh, that's right. So, Joe Hendry made a song about Matt Cardona and Brian Myers called Edge's Bitch.
Oh, I know he's with Diener.
Who?
They was with Eric Young.
No. Matt Cardona's not with Dieter. Sammy Callahan.
No, I was talking about. I was saying Diener, and then the big guy was with Eric Young before he left.
Yeah, but Joe Doring has brain cancer, and hopefully he's doing a lot better, by the way.
Yeah. I thought I seen him on something on YouTube or something. I can't remember what I was watching.
But right now it's Alan Angels and Khan from the Ascension.
Okay.
Are with Dieter right now. And they're trying to recruit Sammy Callahan, who tonight, which I'll watch at after we get done with the podcast, is taking on Rhino, which should be a pretty good match.
Yeah. I've heard that Cordona's debuting at WrestleMania.
Cardona? Maybe.
Yep.
Because they announced last week on Impact, Brian Myers announced that he was gone from Impact.
There's talk that Myers is going over too.
Not for a while, because Moose said he was going to help him win the Digital Media Championship.
You know Moose just as well as I do. Moose will turn on him in a heartbeat.
No, I can't argue with you there. I want to, but I can't. So what do you think?
Go ahead.
What do you think about this tag team of Chelsea Green and Carmella?
Different, but it fits.
Do you think they'll go after the tag titles once Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler get them?
Yeah, I hate to see Lita drop them that away, but I'm happy to see that she returned.
Yeah. The rumor is that they're gonna wrestle. Either night one's gonna be the 6-woman tag that they made on Raw,
Uh huh.
and then night two they'll defend the tag titles against Shayna Baszler and Ronda Rousey.
There's, I think I would like to see it, but there's talk that Cordona is going to come out and dethrone Gunther.
Interesting. The rumor I've heard about Gunther is that it's going to be a triple threat between him and Sheamus and Drew McIntyre.
I've heard that. I've also heard that that Alexander Wolf is going to come out and help him retain it.
It's possible. Then you would reform every member of Imperium.
Yep. There's talk that that Nikki Cross and her husband's going to do something at Mania too.
Well, he's going to have to drop the title in Europe first because he's a champion. Big Damo's a champion over there.
Yeah, he's only wrestling a day-to-day contract. Oh, that reminds me of a story with Nate.
Oh, good. It's
Did you
story
ever
time
tell
with
Tony about that?
it's story time with Matt Gravett, baby.
What story?
So when Nate was living on 18th, we all had this thing that it was a game that we played called Extreme Warfare.
Oh, the
And
Matt
it was a
Hardy
wrestling
story.
game. So me and Nate were playing it, and Nate he had to go to a wrestling event. I wasn't feeling good. His caregiver tried to poison me that day. Anyway, we sitting there playing Extreme Warfare,
Mine isn't.
and Nate leaves. So I get into a bidding war, and I didn't make it a contract. I didn't make it. I didn't make it a contract where it wasn't day to day. So all Matt Hardy had to do was come into the backstage, grab a cup of coffee, and Nate had to pay him $300,000. And by the way, Nate, you're still welcome for that. I helped you out.
Which, by the way, made me have to help me out, start it over. You paying Matt Hardy $300,000 just to grab a cup of coffee. You can't pay anybody else anything. One expensive cup of coffee.
Yeah. So I know Nathan's opinion on this, but Matt, who do you think Uncle Howdy is?
Bo Dallas.
Nathan, do you still
I heard
think
it. I
do you still
heard him.
Yeah. Do you still think it's EY?
No, I think
Yes.
it's Bo Dallas, but EY is one of the characters. There's
Nathan?
talk that Eric Redbeard's another one of the characters.
No, I think it's Eric Young because if you look at Extreme Rules, right?
Mm-hmm.
The guy that jumped off the the balcony thing during the pitch black match,
Mm-hmm.
Which, by the way, I still say LA Knight's tights looked really, really funny in that match. Uh, when when he dove off, the guy that jumped off was taller than Bo Dallas. First of all, and second of all,
EY's short.
I know, but he's still taller than Bo Dallas.
EY is a little bit taller, maybe shorter than AJ Styles.
I would agree there.
But second point. The second point is during one of the Firefly Funhouse vignettes when Uncle Howdy made an appearance. It was EY's voice that was Uncle Howdy.
But if you listen to the encounter with Bobby Lashley in the ring, when Uncle Howdy said something, it sounded just like Bo Dallas.
And it's possible they could have both of them playing it. And the one thing that everybody forgets is they also trademarked the character Uncle Harper too. So who's to say that we're both not right, and one of them's gonna be Bo Dallas and the other one would be Eric Young, and they're just planting the seeds for both sides.
I think if they're gonna do anybody as Uncle Harper, I think that Uncle Harper will be Eric Redbeard.
I can see that.
I like that. I like that.
Because you haven't seen Eric Redbeard wrestling anyplace else.
Not since he was in AEW.
Yeah, and there's been talk that he signed with WWE.
So are we all in agreement, though, that if they have a person play Abby the Witch, which is Sister Abigail, it's going to be either Alexa Bliss or Liv Morgan?
I've heard that that's going to be Victoria's last run.
The only thing is, I think Victoria or Tara signed to Impact.
I think that's a day-to-day contract. I don't think that is a permanent contract.
And the reason I say Liv Morgan is I know Bo Dallas is really pushing for her to be Sister Abigail based on the fact that they're dating and he wants to work with her on a regular basis.
I did not know they was dating.
Yeah.
But on the same aspect, you know, Bray's already worked with Alexa.
True, and they have done more storyline work with Alexa leading up to Wyatt 6 is going to be.
And,
and they've been... Go ahead.
No. Guess first, obviously. Go ahead. I know how to be a good host.
Ouch.
He's been very good, unlike the gentleman over here to my left.
Ouch.
He's referring to you, Nos.
I know. I can tell my left from my right most of the time.
So they here recently had Uncle Howdy get involved with Alexa Bliss. So
yeah.
On a side note for a second, I want to get Tony's opinion on this. Something that we talked about earlier before the show come on. The show that's on in my background right here is OVW. I've heard the speculation that Al Snow is going to start working with Shawn Michaels, Triple H at NXT. but have OVW work with WWE again.
Oh, just great. What everybody needs. Head!
It would help them get better. Yeah. I have a hard time watching it the way it
Well-
looks right now.
Well, let's be fair. For anybody that hasn't seen OBW, they have the same problem that you're complaining about with AEW. Who are their main stars over there? They got maybe a couple of homegrown guys, and then they got Mr. Spectacular, who was Jesse Goddard's in TNA and in Impact.
They've got that big India guy,
Shira.
Sheba,
Shira.
whatever his name is. Shira.
Shira. They also, last I checked, had Cowboy James Storm.
No, he is free. He's a free agent, and he may be doing some work with Bobby Roode in WWE when he comes back.
God, I hope so.
Me too, because they ain't doing nothing with Bobby Roode right now. I know he's got that arm injury,
but something that I am hoping for, and I pray that it happens. I would love to see this. Is the combination of Beer Money and AMW.
but
been going
think about the
around
last physical shape that we saw. Go ahead.
Chris Harrison and Impact.
In WWE, he was like 3 times the size of what he was in TNA.
I seen him here recently, about 4 or 5 months ago in Impact.
Yeah, but do you think he'd want to go back to a place that gave him the name Braden Walker and did nothing with him when he was in WWE the last time?
I think that under Triple H, I think it would be different. You put AMW with Beer Money and combine them. That's a good 3-man team. And you know that he would have to get back in shape.
Well, yeah.
Why not give AMW one more last run?
Well, speaking of factions, what do you guys think about the picture that MVP put out in Boston about possibly a new Hurt Business with Omos, Carmelo Hayes, and the Street Profits?
So that would leave Carmelo Hayes' crony down in NXT.
Yeah, Trick Williams.
Did you watch NXT yesterday?
Yes, I did.
Or Tuesday?
On Tuesday.
Chase U is breaking up.
Yeah, I never thought that Duke Hudson fit and Chase U anyway.
No. I've heard that the female is going to the main roster and possibly Duke Hudson too.
Well, I think Thea Hale and Andre Chase are going to stay together. But I think that Duke Hudson should separate and then be managed by Wade Barrett. And then they find somebody else. And then maybe they bring Pat McAfee back onto SmackDown.
Something else that I've heard that I want to get your thoughts on is there's 2 free agents out there, and I'm hoping that all 3 come over. Miguel and Nash Carter. What was the third member's name?
Nash Carter. The third member is already in NXT. The third member is
There's
Wesley.
one that's Trey Miguel.
Yeah, he's the X Division champion at Impact.
I've heard that his contract's almost up.
And Nash Carter, I don't know if they would bring him back because of all the issues they had the last time. That's why he got released the last time.
That was, from what I understand, that was never proven.
I don't know. They had a picture
It
of
was
him
coming out that it was.
They had
I've
a picture
heard
of
that they go ahead.
They had a picture of him doing the Hitler symbol.
I would love to see the three together in NXT. That would be cool.
Did you know that there was
I'm really a big. I like Trey Miguel. He's a good wrestler.
Yes, he is. Did you know that there's a fourth member to the Rascals that I just found out about last week? It's Myron Reed. Myron Reed from MLW.
I'm pretty sure you're aware of this already, but there's about ready to be more members of the Bloodline. That's why they kicked Sammy out.
Well, yeah, Tony and I
are working out a contract with Jacob Fatu and all of them that's in MLW.
That would be awesome, actually. I know Tony's a really big Jacob Fatu fan.
What a better way. He deserves to take the next step. Have Jacob Fatu come in the reign of Roman Reigns. Pun intended.
Well, the reigns of Roman Reigns is going to end at WrestleMania.
Oh, I got a feeling, yeah.
So, Tony, were you going to say something?
The next tag champions are going to be Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn.
Yeah, I agree.
That one's obvious too. No,
Tony,
I just enjoy talking. I just enjoy listening to our guest talk, unlike listening to you ramble on and and cutting off our poor guest as he's in mid sentence. You know,
my apologies.
No, I've followed Jacob Fatu ever since he was in the WCWC.
He's done that for years, upon years. That's
and I even asked some fans, and the funny thing is I even asked some fans last week if he ever shuts up, and they all said no.
Yeah, including my cousin.
Which has got to tell you something. If your own family tells you that you talk too much.
There is no off switch to him.
Yes, I know that. But no, as far as the Jacob Fatu thing, go ahead, Matt.
They've been trying to sign Jacob Fatu for a while, and it's finally getting done. They just got to sign on the bottom line.
As far as that, like I said, I've followed him ever since he was in WCWC.
He was very depressed, and all he did at my mom's was sleep. I remember that. But he just thought it was just easier.
I would love to see. Go ahead.
Go ahead, sir. The floor is yours.
I would love to see. I think that when they do that, when they sign the Samoan SWAT team, they're going to sign. They will bring Trinity back, or Naomi. Naya will return, and Tamina, and they will add them to the bloodline.
Naya's already back.
What a
Tamina's
better
already-
way to get Naya under control and get her ring skills that much better than putting her in the bloodline. She would learn so much.
Well, I agree with that, but I don't think Naomi or Trinity's going back to WWE.
You don't
Well,
think
she
so?
sure ain't hanging around with Monet.
No, that's a good point.
And if she ain't hanging around with Monet, she's only
The
got
only
one
one
other
I-
place to go, and that's to be with her husband.
I think that she's going to come back. I think they're working on getting it all smoothed out. Hunter's going to bring her back. I just don't know when.
Well, probably when she heals up from her shoulder surgery.
You know, I mean, and you know, you're less than a month now to Mania, so you know, you're probably, you know, if this all happens, it's going to be after Mania when Roman takes his much deserved vacation. But surprisingly, I'm surprised Moxley hasn't taken his vacation yet either.
I am too, actually.
Maybe he's just waiting until April 1st when Roman loses his title and they'll ride off in the sunset together.
It's possible.
There was something that come out that said that if anybody can get Moxley to come back, it would be Roman and Seth.
Seth tried before he left. And actually, so did Roman. And
I think that there's something possibly in the works because they've brought his name up quite a bit here lately on WWE TV. Granted, they didn't say the full name, but they said Ambrose, and then they've said Moxley.
Well, that was
I say
Seth
anything
Rollins
possible.
that said.
yeah, that was more Seth than anybody else. But
I thought
But then
Roman brought it up too one time.
Not that I.
maybe he did, but I'm not sure. I know it's been more and more Seth lately, but I mean, besides Roman Reigns, he's the next one that gets the most creative control and in his promos and everything. So
Yeah. So I think that's where it stands to reason anything's possible.
Well, you're right. Anything is possible in wrestling, but I just don't see why he would want to go back to leave a place where he has complete creative control over what he says and what he does, like anybody does in AEW, and go back to a place where, one, you're not sure if Vince McMahon's still in control, and two, you don't have as much control as you would have in AEW.
I think with Hunter having more control, I think it's more feasible for him to come back with Hunter being in control because Hunter would hand him all kinds of control.
Well, I mean,
I think
Again.
Hunter would allow.
Go ahead.
I think Hunter would allow him to have that creative brain. Would allow him to do all of these promos. I just think it would be.
Again, if Hunter has complete control, but he's been deferring to Vince a lot on ideas, so I don't know if he has as much control as they're saying.
I think that I think it's more likely that Moxley will return right when Seth and Roman and him get ready to ride off into the sunset, and they go to induct the Shield into the Hall of Fame.
What's where we're at? It's not like you're going to die young. It's like you're going to die soon.
Well,
they will go in separate, but they will go in as a faction too.
A and B.
Well, son of a bitch, Nathan, he got you. How do you think about that?
Well, I agree with that, but I don't think it's going to happen anytime soon because I think they still have years and years and years left on their career, barring any injuries or anything.
So I'm going to put this, whatever you want to call him, up here in the left-hand screen. I'm going to put him on the spot here. So tag teams, Hall of Fame, right? So if you have a lineup of tag teams, right? You have the Powers of Pain. You have the Faces of Fear. You have the Twin Towers. You have Demolition. You have Power and Glory. You have the Can-Am Connection. Which one do you put in the Hall of Fame first? Oh, and you got the Natural Disasters.
Wow, that's a good question.
So put them in order. Put them in order how you would induct them.
I would probably put the Twin Towers in first, just because anything with the Undertaker in it would put that as a.
I'm talking Akeem and Bossman.
Oh, okay, because Undertaker and Dan Spivey were called. That's the Skyscrapers. My mistake.
Very good, Nate.
And you call yourself the host with the most.
I would probably put Demolition in, just because of the number of high profile matches that they had. First. Then I would probably put. Okay. For some reason, my brain just froze. Give me a minute to rethink about the list. My last one would be the Can-Am Connection because really
they was former tag team champions.
Yeah, but I mean, they didn't really have longevity in the company.
Technically, they did.
Okay, I apologize. Run me through the list one more time because all I can think about is Demolition.
Okay, you had the Twin Towers, Demolition. You had the Can-Am Connection. You had the Faces of Fear, the Powers of Pain, Power and Glory, the Rougeau brothers.
And yo,
The powers of the pain, the powers of pain, and the Faces of Fear. That would put the Barbarian in twice.
okay, but
Yeah,
isn't
your point
Triple H
is.
and Ric Flair 2-time Hall of Famers?
Yes.
Isn't Shawn Michaels a 2-time Hall of Famer?
Yes.
So are they better than? Yeah.
X-Pac's a 2-time Hall of Famer.
Are you
Scott
saying that
Hall's
they're
a
all
2-time
better?
Hall of
Are
Famer.
you saying that they're better than he is?
Actually, yes. Yes, I am actually, because the Barbarian had a lot of longevity, but he didn't like hold a lot of titles and stuff, right? Like the Powers of Pain were just like a team to put up against either Demolition or the Road Warriors. And the closest the Faces of Fear ever got to the tag titles was when they took on the Outsiders at Halloween Havoc.
And Mr. Barbarian, sir, if you look at the bottom of the screen, you can see where we're live from. And if you come and find me personally, I will take you into Mr. Nas's room so you can beat him up.
Bring it on.
I'll be right there with you.
Then I would put in.
Finish.
Then I would put in the Twin Towers, because of the careers of both Akeem and the Big Boss Man, both as the one-man gang and the Big Boss Man separately.
Mm-hmm.
Then the Rougeau brothers, just because that would, they were a really good tag team, and both of them kind of split off and did their own thing. Jacques as the Mountie and Raymond as the commentator later on.
Technically, Jacques would get in twice.
Yeah, as the Mountie and as part of the Rougeau brothers.
Well, 3 times then. You're forgetting one. Former tag team champions.
As the Quebecers.
There you go.
With the current Impact champion, or an Impact superstar, I might add.
Yep. That's Pierre.
Yeah, PCO.
Power and Glory had some longevity too.
Yeah, but I never thought they got the push that they needed to be in the Hall of Fame. And that's not their fault. That's just the way.
But they still deserve it.
Okay,
They
I'll
didn't
give you
get a
that.
push, but they was majorly talented.
I'll give you that one on the fact that like everybody has used their finisher at one point or the other. That's one of the top tier tag teams. So yeah, that's how I would do it.
Some teams that was left off that list that I think deserve it is MOM, the Smoking Guns, a tag team that I'm going to make Nate laugh, and I think that if they're going to put one version, they need to put all versions in the Hall of Fame. The Midnight Express.
Okay, I have to comment on this one. One, the ones in the NWA yes, I agree, need to go into the Hall of Fame. The ones that were managed by Jim Cornette. But I am not going to put in
Technically, Jim
bombastic.
Cornette managed them all.
Well, okay, you're right on that part. But I am not going to put in Bombastic Bob and Bodacious Bart in the Hall of Fame as the Midnight Express. I have no problem. I have no problem putting Hardcore Holly in the Hall of Fame. I have no problem putting Bart Gunn in the Hall of Fame as part of the Smoking Gun. But I am not putting them in as part of the Midnight Express.
Since we're on this talk of tag teams that belong in the Hall of Fame, I think that the Godwins, the Headbangers belong in the Hall of Fame.
Would you put them in as the Godwins or as Tex Slashinger and Shanghai Pierce?
Well, I would put them in. You could mention the Godwins, but you could mention Tex Slashinger and Shanghai Pierce, but they belong in as the Godwins.
Well, then technically, would
They
you
had
put
all
Dennis?
of their-
Go ahead. Sorry.
But they putting them in as Tex Slashinger and Shanghai Pierce would be like putting in the Cole brothers into the Hall of Fame. Their biggest claim to fame was Battle Bowl, and only one made Battle Bowl.
No, true. But then, would you put Dennis Knight in 3 times as part of the group of the Ministry of Darkness when he was Minion?
Yeah.
I'm good with putting him in as Minion. I'm good as putting him in as Minion as long as they don't put him in as Naked Minion.
So another team that I think made a statement, granted it was only in WCW, but I think that Riggs and Bagwell belongs in the Hall of Fame. They made a statement.
Fits with that one. Yes, they made a splash when they won the tag titles from Harlem Heat. But other than that, they're most known for feuding with each other when Bagwell went to the NWO.
Another team, I don't know if Tony remembers this team, but another one that belongs in is Scorpio, and I think it was Scorpio and Bagwell.
Mm-hmm.
They beat the
right,
Nasty Boys and they beat 2 other major tag teams. I can't remember what they was called.
Too legit to
What's
quit.
their team name, Nate?
Too legit to quit. I think, wasn't it, Nathan?
Yeah, it was too legit to quit.
And another team, in my opinion, Nasty Boys, of course, belong in the Hall of Fame by far. And also Rotundo and Wyndham.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. My question with Rotundo is, do you put him in twice as IRS and then as Rotundo.
Absolutely.
Yep. I think that they need to do an all tag team Hall of Fame one year where they induct nothing but tag teams.
Have they even announced the
That
headline?
would be
Another one
interesting.
that they should put in. What's that?
Hold on. What were you saying, Tony?
Have they
What were you saying,
even
Tony?
announced anybody for the Hall of Fame this year?
Batista.
That's it.
Yeah.
A major drop of the ball. Normally they've got like 4 or 5 named by now.
There's a rumor that possibly Stacy Keibler.
But getting back to this tag team thing, I like where Matt's going with this.
I think that another team that deserves it is I'm surprised that they're not in right now, and that's the Iron Sheik and Nikolai Volkov.
I 100% agree with that one.
I do too.
But one that I'm surprised that's not in, and I never can remember their name, but it's I'm surprised. Well, it would put in one wrestler 3 times, and he wasn't actually Russian. Barry Darso would get in 3 times if this group got in.
You're talking about
What?
You're talking about the
Crusher Crew. What's that?
You're talking about the Russians from the NWA.
Crusher Khrushchev, Nikita Koloff, and Ivan Koloff.
Yep,
all belong in the hall.
I agree with that one too.
So, would you put the Hollies in?
Yes. Not so
the
much.
APA.
Absolutely.
Go ahead and finish what you're going to say.
I wouldn't put the Hollies in so much as a tag team, but single stars, because they both had their best careers when they were both going for the hardcore title.
Technically, Hardcore's been tag team champion.
He has, but Crash had his most success when he was the Houdini of hardcore.
Yeah. There's 2 teams that I'm not going to say because there's no shadow of a doubt that they deserve to be in. So I'm going to mention them. ENC and the Hardys by far.
Yeah.
No doubt about that one.
Yeah. Half of ENC's in, the other part's coming because Christian, I think, is going back to WWE. And the Hardys,
agree with that.
And the Hardys, abso-fucking-lutely.
I'm going to make Nate laugh on this one, and I know Tony's going to laugh on this one.
No.
One tag team that deserves to be in is the Mean Street Posse.
Yeah, right.
No
Yeah.
I don't think Tony heard that one.
No, I think he did.
No, I've just got interference in here, so
Oh, I made Nate laugh. I said the one team that deserves to be in is the Mean Street Posse.
No.
with or without Shane McMahon.
Without Shane McMahon, they wouldn't have been relevant.
Oh, let's see. What could they get put in the Hall of Fame for? Being Bulldog's lackey, all the times they got their ass kicked by Test.
Well, here's another that'll probably make Nate Net laugh. A faction that needs to be inducted is the Cheer Squad. Dolph Ziggler and
Nate would agree with that.
Oh
one.
God, no. No, even Dolph doesn't want to remember that he was in that one.
They was brought back on that one episode of SmackDown, remember?
yeah.
Please, I'm trying to forget. I've only dealt with PTSD once before. I didn't need it a second time.
One faction that deserves to be in, and I think that everything that they was through warrants it, is the Job Squad. The Job Squad deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. All kidding aside.
Okay, everybody but Gilbert.
Yeah. Technically, he had a long tenure in the business.
Please, he came out to the sparklers as his pyro. That they had just fire extinguishers.
He was light heavyweight champion.
It's the word light. I think I made meals that were bigger than him.
Yeah, but Gilbert says that he can beat you with one hand tied behind his back.
Now, I sometimes I joke about the Bring It On thing, but as far as Gilbert goes, bring it on. I'm confident in that one.
So we will call Gilbert. We'll make him think Gilbert's showing up, and then Goldberg shows up instead of Gilbert.
And that's what I asked for an autograph.
That's when I will. That's when I would actually pay Mr. Goldberg to put you up in the jackknife. Just hold you there and watch all the blood drift to your head.
And you know what my thoughts? And you know what my thoughts would be to that? Fun ride, bad landing.
I wouldn't let it. I wouldn't say I'd let him. I wouldn't say I'd let him put you down. I just let all the blood rush to your head and let your head turn red and explode.
Okay, so speaking of that wouldn't be as bad as when I lived on 27th and they spun me in a Hoyer after I got really drunk.
I've heard that story. I've heard that story before.
Oh, I've got an even better one for you.
The Mount St. Nate. I've heard that story before.
Mount St. Nate wasn't in the Hoyer. Mount St. Nate was laying in bed.
Oh, okay.
We all lived over across from the mill. Everybody was drinking Mad Dog 2020 but me. I was drinking Wild Turkey. Anyway, we're all sitting there talking, and we all decided we wanted to play SmackDown. So we turned on the game system. Everything's going good. We're all playing. He's going to challenge everybody in the match and gets his ass whooped. First one eliminated. We're all sitting there playing. And then all of a sudden we hear that, and he misses the ceiling just by a little bit while he's laying on his back. And that's exactly what all of us did.
Yeah, the one time I need my friends to help me out, I look at the one time me out. I look on the floor and everybody's dying laughing except for Dean because he's got his head stuck out the door because he's got the spin.
So I guess what they say is true. You had friends in low places.
Very much so. Ironically, the only one that helped me was another Special Olympics athlete named Jake Horde because he was the only sober one in the house.
Oh, he drank a little bit.
But he was still more sober than anybody else.
Well, what could I say? I had polished off 2.5 of wild turkey.
Wow.
So I wasn't exactly able to walk by any means. All I could do was laugh.
And to be fair, I did drink 2 bottles of the MD 2020 by myself, so that's kind of what led to that.
You was on 3.5.
Well, yeah, after 2, I kind of lost count.
Oh, was Nathan going 1 tequila, 2 tequila, 3 tequila, 4 lore?
Yeah, pretty much.
He kept telling us that he could walk.
Hey, that reminds me of that dream.
I remember that, but I'm pretty sure I felt like I could.
Isn't that dream that the guy at the Frontier had about you? Was you were walking to a wrestling event?
Yes. Yeah. Although, to be fair, in that dream, he torqued my leg around like a G.I. Joe.
So it was quite interesting to watch all of us play a PlayStation while being drunk. That was hilarious.
I could only imagine. Man, I'm glad I didn't know y'all back then.
That's the only time.
Nate kept arguing with us that X was to do the finisher, and it was the bumper that was to do the finisher. And then he kept saying the bumper was the punch. And yeah, it was.
To be fair,
never got a shot in.
To be fair, I was so drunk I slid out of the bed.
Well, but then again, it's like you said before. You were so drunk that even Donna looked good.
Donna didn't live with us then. This was after the fire.
We was all there and we was drinking, and I remember it going up, and then we all just kind of went like that. And we pointed and laughed. It was just like, and then the laughter began.
Oh, wow.
I tried.
Yeah, and I remember my thought.
Nate, he's like, "Can you help me?" And then I bounced off of every piece of furniture that was in the front room, and then I hit the floor. But none of us remembered anything the next day.
Oh, I remembered it. I had
the game system was paused.
Hell of a headache the next day.
Oh, we all did.
After drinking that much, I'm surprised. Yeah, I would be surprised if y'all didn't.
It was, yeah.
So let's see here. So unlike you guys, I don't watch NXT very much. So that Roxanne Perez thing that happened on Tuesday, was that real or was that staged?
That was real.
You think?
Yeah.
Which one?
EMTs don't move like that, Nate.
Fightful Select.
The Roxanne Perez thing?
Yeah.
Well, I know.
I think it was real.
Yeah.
But again, EMTs don't move like that. They don't. I don't know. I really don't know.
Fightful
I
Select.
think it was real.
Fight. Go ahead.
I think it's real just by the way she was acting. Hey, Nate, you got to keep your
Well,
head.
I do too, especially after the fact that Fightful said that that she has a concussion.
Okay, that would make sense.
But you know the funniest part of that whole thing?
She was really dizzy afterwards.
That would make sense.
There was one thing about that whole experience that was funny. And that's when Shawn Michaels was trying to put the oxygen mask on Roxanne. He kept putting it on upside down.
We gotta remember he took one too many hits to the head too. So
I know, but the look from the paramedic was hilarious.
I think that NXT is going to end up going back to the black and gold brand.
They already are.
Excuse me. Go ahead.
What do you think of Johnny Gargano coming back to NXT?
I think that's going to be a good match. And right after WrestleMania, I think Grayson Waller's going to come up to the main roster.
It's a possibility.
There's talk that the big tall guy with the black hair is going to end up back down there teaming up with him this year. They had him dancing. I can't remember his name.
Oh, Shaky. Did you freeze again, Matt?
Yeah, for a little bit.
It was Shaky.
Sankey.
Yeah.
There's talk that he's going back down to team with Indashir.
They're not doing anything with him otherwise.
Time.
Yeah.
So, Nate, while we've got Tony here, I've got a question. It's another question for the Hall of Fame. For his longevity and his size, I think that one guy that deserves to be in the Hall of Fame is the Giant Gonzalez. He's had high-profile feuds. He's been on the grandest stage, and he was in the business for quite a while.
I would say yes, but for his work in I know he had a match with The Undertaker at WrestleMania, but he had a match with The Undertaker at WrestleMania 9.
Uh-huh.
But to be fair, the only thing that people remember about the Giant Gonzalez,
matches with Ric Flair.
The only thing that the people remember about Giant Gonzalez in WWE is the ugly suit that Vince McMahon made him wear.
Yeah. He had two high profile matches, WrestleMania and SummerSlam.
Yeah.
So I've done really good as far as everything.
So I think that for everything he's done, he deserves to get in.
Well,
I'm surprised that he's not in as much as Vince loves big guys.
yeah.
At least once a day.
Well, I think Vince is,
I
as
figured
much
he would
as
have been in a
possible,
long
trying to
time
stay
ago.
out of the public eye.
Another guy
I think
that,
Vince.
as far as big guys that deserves, go ahead.
I think Vince is trying to stay out of the public eye, and if he puts too many big guys in, then people are going to know he's still in charge.
Yeah. I think Sid belongs in the Hall of Fame too. I'm surprised he's not in there.
100%, I agree.
As part of the Skyscrapers, and as part of his single run.
Yep. Another person that needs to go in because of their singles run, even though they're already in as a faction, is China.
Holler, if you hear me.
Well, yes, as
Is that
part
what you
of.
was gonna
Well,
say,
he's
Nate?
already in as the Steiners, but no, China.
Holler, if you hear me.
Yeah, I can see him going in again.
So I sit and I think a lot about the Hall of Fame. And I look back over the years who I think deserves to be in. And one guy, I know he never wrestled in WWE, but one guy that deserves the Hall of Fame is Magnum TA.
Yes.
I know he was only in the NWA, but still.
No, I think you're right because of the people he had the matches against.
If you want to talk about high profile matches, that guy deserves it. He's had high profile match after high profile match.
And I think if he wouldn't have gotten that car accident, there's a good chance he would have been in the WWE.
Yes. So something that me and you've talked about before, Nate, and while we've got Tony here, I know what I've got one guy in mind that by far is a future Hall of Famer. But I know everything he's done. I know what above all makes him a Hall of Famer. But I want to get your guys' opinion on what makes him a Hall of Famer. What one thing stands out? Chris Jericho.
I just have a lot of people in wrestling. Like my parents, my family, my
For me, it's the way he reinvents his character.
What is the one thing that puts him that is with all of his accomplishments.
To me, it's how he reinvents his character all the time, and how he keeps it so fresh.
I mean, honestly, you can't argue that. I mean, the way that he's reinvented himself, yeah, every organization he's went into, he's reinvented himself and gotten just that much better at everything that he does. I mean, he is one of probably, yeah.
Go ahead.
I was just saying, he's probably one of the best professional wrestlers of our generation. But
I mean,
I agree with
everything that he's accomplished in ring, not character wise, not changing it, anything like that, but what he's done in the ring. What do you think's the one thing that puts him? What do you think the one thing is that cemented it?
Well, if you're just thinking in ring, I think everybody would say being the first undisputed champion, but I'm going to say being the 9-time Intercontinental champion.
I think that, yeah, his title reigns cemented his legacy. Tag team champion, U.S. champion, Intercontinental champion, World's champion, undisputed champion. But I think the night that he beat Rock and Austin in the same night cemented his legacy, because nobody else has ever done that.
It's a valid point.
Very valid point, yes.
You got two future Hall of Famers at that point, and he beat them both in one night.
But you can't discredit also being the first ever AEW champion also.
You can't discredit that, no. He was Cruiserweight champion in WCW. He was U.S. champion in WCW. Then he jumped over to the WWE, U.S. champion, Intercontinental champion, Tag champion, Grand Slam champion.
Don't forget his ECW run. Don't forget his ECW run where he was the television champion.
Oh, yeah. I forgot when he come over to WCW in 96 that he had that reign.
Yeah.
It was a short reign, but he had it.
Well, yeah, it was kind of his transitional reign before he went to WCW.
Another female that don't get her just deserves and belongs in the Hall is Missy Hyatt. You have some of the best. You have some of the best managers ever in the business, and she's managed champions everywhere she went.
I would agree with that, and not so much to discredit how many people that she managed, because it was a lot, but she needs to be at the Hall of Fame for the only woman that could hang on the microphone with Paul Heyman.
I agree with that. Her ex-husband belongs in the Hall of Fame too. One of the best workers to ever
Which
be in
one?
the business. Eddie Gilbert.
Yes.
Dan Spivey is another one that belongs in there. Longevity. I don't know so much about his WWE gimmick.
I don't know, but without that Waylon Jennings character, Bray Wyatt said there.
Waylon
that's
Jennings.
or whatever the character name was for.
Waylon.
Yeah, okay, I screwed up on that one.
Nate, you're a little far up the alphabet. Waylon Mercy.
Hey, I got it halfway right.
Wasn't even close.
Survey says, sorry.
Point taken. His character in WWE, Bray Wyatt's gone on record as saying that was where he got the idea for the cult, Bray Wyatt.
Oh.
He did help a lot of people. So
before we head off,
so many people have
give us one more thing about the Special Olympics that you kind of took away from your time.
I had a good time. The very first team that I got to be on was loaded. Not a lot of people got to see it. One of the coaches still around. The other coach walks with the Angels now. Both of them was phenomenal head coaches with that team. 7 out of 8 years walking away with a state gold medal. Pretty good. And then the next team I got to go on when it was dwindling down for me was fun. I enjoyed it. Granted, I didn't get to do much playing time because the whole thing was tailing off for me at that point, but it is what it is. Oh, I got a story for you, Nate.
What?
We was at state one time, and I can't remember who brought them, but we were in the rooms, and somebody started handing out bananas.
Yes,
so I grabbed a hold of an armful of bananas, and I started at the end of the hall, and I started opening doors and chucking bananas at people going down the hall.
I love this.
Oh my God!
I got
Why have I
all
not
the way
heard
to
this
the
story
end, and
before?
I got all the way to the end, opened Doug's door, and bounced one right off his forehead.
It was one of the last years Matt coached.
I got it was like I got Mike like 5 or 6 times. Just because. I knew I could get Mike, so I went overboard on that one.
Well, Mike was such
That
an
was
easy
fun.
target, though. I mean, he doesn't move very fast. You know, I mean, and he just looks
Did
at
I
you.
ever tell you the? Did I ever tell you the story, Nate, about me and Mike? He was my neighbor out at the Dry Creek Apartments, and he decided that he wanted to have a wrestling match with me in the apartment.
Oh God!
Oh Lord!
So I out wrestled him from one end to the other. Of course. He goes, "I'm going to make you tap out with the awful bar." He put the awful bar on me, and I just stood there and looked at him.
Oh my God! The awful bar.
What?
Isn't that the only move that he knew?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, that reminds me of a funny story. We was at the school, and the matches were being set up, and it was supposed to be me and Dean versus the Mungers. Somehow
I
it turned into a handicap match somehow. But me and Dean were afraid that we was gonna hurt him, especially Mike. Steven was a good wrestler. But anyway, back to what I was gonna tell you. We was having the match, and he goes, "Famous for me," and I go, "Be prepared to catch yourself." So I went for the famouser, and he didn't catch himself with his hands. He put his hands out at the edge of his body. So then his head went into the floor.
And now we know why
And it
Mike
was-
looks the way he looks.
And it was concrete underneath the floors. He goes, he looked up at me. He goes, "Did I win the match?" No. He was like, "Where am I?"
So
I go,
it's about the school. Do you remember what
"You're in
happened?
my apartment."
Hold on, Nate.
What's that?
Go ahead.
He goes,
Sorry, I didn't.
He goes, "Where am I?" And I go, "You're in my apartment." He goes, "No, I'm in my apartment." He thought he was in his own apartment when he was in mine. I was
Oh,
like, Nate,
yeah.
I was like, "Mike, you got to go home." So when he went to walk out the door, he ran into the wall instead.
For the right reasons.
Okay,
I felt
go
sorry
ahead.
when it happened. For him when it happened.
Okay, go ahead,
But it was
Nathan.
his
Then I'll,
fault that he didn't catch himself.
exactly. Go ahead, Nathan, and then I'll.
He was like, "I know how to take it."
Yep.
Go ahead, Nate.
Go ahead, Nate, and then I'll finish it off with a longer story of my own.
Okay. So do you remember what happened with Troy when he tried to jump over the top rope?
Yeah, Travis jumped over the top rope, and then Troy tried to copy him.
Yeah. So the Travis he was talking about could jump over like X-Pac, straight over the rope.
Okay.
So his partner, who had an ego the size of Longview, decided that he could do the same thing. Well, he tried to jump
And in front of a live crowd,
over the top rope and got his left leg over. Took a face plant right into the ground.
Oh, damn.
no, he went over into the ring.
Well, yeah.
They was getting in the ring for the match.
He was not happy about that.
Exactly. So,
I remember that. That was the same night that Mike took the kendo sticks from him.
Yep.
Ooh. So, the final story about Mr. Munger, okay, and it's a Special Olympic story, so it ties in perfectly with this. Okay, so we used to have state at Fort Lewis, right? Remember how we always tell the athletes as coaches, make sure you put your name badges in the lockers. Otherwise, they may disappear or things may end up being written on said name tag, right? I woke up in the middle of the night. Guess where I found my badge? Hanging on his bed.
God.
So, and I know you've asked me this before, Nathan. I don't know Matt has known this story yet, but you've always asked me why I call Mike Michelle.
Mm.
So he left his name badge out, and at the time, they just won those little
I think
lanyards
I've heard bits and pieces.
that you can take out the paper on the lanyard, right? So I crossed out in black felt pen Mike, and on the very back of his lanyard, I wrote Michelle Munger, and I put it back in there. And he hit it, and this was Friday night, mind you. Now state's 3 days. So he had to wear that name badge Saturday and Sunday.
Oh, I wish I would have been there. Oh wow.
And he didn't find out until we all loaded up and came back to Longview who it was that wrote that.
Oh, I love it.
That gets back to the story about how easy it is to pick on Mike. Because that name badge was just so easy.
Yes.
We used to pick on him at the school all the time because he wanted to be Awful Mike Awful, the rock star Mike Awful, the rock star Mike Munger, and then just the plain old rock star.
And then he wanted to be the rock
None
star
of his
Mike
names were
Awesome.
very good. What's that?
And from what I understood, he couldn't
You're
really wrestle.
froze,
I mean,
Nate.
I don't even think he can referee that well.
It was
can
like this.
I said he wanted to be Mike Awesome too for a while.
So
Gimmick infringement.
gimmick infringement. That's true.
He
Very
took
much
a
so.
forearm to the back from a 450-pound guy, and he about collapsed to the floor.
Mm-hmm.
Kodiak hit him hard.
Oh yes, I've heard that one too.
Oh, Tony would have had fun.
Oh yeah.
It was fun back then. Too bad the owner couldn't get his drinking problem under control.
Well, that and his womanizing.
That too.
So anyway,
It was every other day that. Yep.
every other day, huh?
Yep.
Oh yeah. He couldn't. Every other day there would be a new woman, and him and Dean were fighting over her.
That doesn't seem to surprise me.
To give you an idea, this guy has. This
they
guy
were
has.
supposed
20,
Oh, okay.
this guy
They
has
were supposed to be
20
tag
kids
partners.
between Washington and Idaho.
Oh wow. All right.
Yep.
So on that note, Mr. Noss, it's been awesome to reconnect with Matt. It's been far, far too long. Far too long.
Yes.
Oh yes.
We'll have to have him
Oh
on.
yeah. It's been fun.
We'll have to have him on again when he gets his duplex above T-Rex. Then maybe we can actually have him run down and grab T-Rex, and we can have the Matt and T-Rex connection.
Oh no, it's probably gonna be one over in Kelso because the one with T-Rex, there's a bunch of issues with that one right now.
Oh, there's gonna be also, huh?
But it'll be a nice big duplex. So I'll
There
be
you go.
over on 7th and Walnut.
Okay.
Just as you go around off of U Street, going around the corner right there.
Gotcha.
You know where U Street's at?
Yeah. Yep.
When you
I
go
know
down
where-
South Pacific by the pink store there?
Yep. Yep.
Take
Yeah.
that left at the pink store and go all the way down.
Okay.
So that's where I'll be at. Hopefully by the end of the month, I'll be in there.
Well, that's good. Finally, huh?
Oh, it's been long enough. This
Yes,
motel and going out to eat's getting pretty expensive.
Yeah, it is. But
I'll have better
anyway,
Wi-Fi too.
exactly. But anyways, next time you come on,
It's been It's been a pleasure. I've enjoyed it. I look forward to coming on again.
Sounds good.
very much
More
so.
Nate stories.
More Nathan stories. So for those of you
You
that
ready for the
enjoy,
Nate stories, Nate?
Sure, why not?
So for those of you fans that enjoy watching your host get roasted, we'll bring Matt on and do a
Yes.
roast to Nathan
We'll
Noss.
do. Yes. Yes. I like that.
And before we go,
the story, get to tell the story of Nate tripping over a pebble and going head over tea kettles.
I haven't heard that one yet either.
I still remember.
That's for another time, though.
I want to let everybody know that we have another interview on Sunday for from the Chair Confessionals with Megan Gates.
That's right. We do have one Sunday, don't we? I swear to God that this host keeps me very, very busy. I can't even remember the days. That's right. I guess we do have a another interview this Sunday coming up.
Yep.
You wouldn't want him to keep track because then he'd forget everything.
Actually, I do pretty
It's
well
just
on
who he
this part.
is. There ain't no helping that.
Yeah, actually, he's actually done pretty good with that part. So, all right. So yes, our next show is Sunday. Our next professional show is Sunday. I'm sure Nathan will go and do a recap show like he can on Saturday night. And
Yep.
I'm looking forward to April 1st and 2nd when he has his co-host come back live and do predictions for WrestleMania. Let's see how many Nathan can get right that weekend. And I say, in fact, for all the fans out there,
Well,
I'll put it out there. If he does not go a perfect card on both nights, I will fire him live the next night.
Oh, right.
Nothing like pressure.
I will be watching that one.
Will he or will he not be fired? We will see.
Well,
And for the record, he got fired.
if I had to take my guess, I would. If I had to take my guess, I would say you're fired.
And for the record, he did get fired 4 times tonight.
Well, and the question shouldn't be, will I get fired? It should be, what do I have to do to get rehired?
I'll have to talk to the
And
the
I
boss.
just fired him for a 5th time.
I'll
So you got fired 5 times.
All right, sounds good.
All right, guys.
All right.
I know Nate's probably got to go get
Well,
his
guys,
master's.
thank you for having me on. I've had fun.
It's been an honor. We'll talk to you
Have a
guys
good night.
later.
Yep.
You too. All right, Matt. See you later.
All right.
He's saying here, do this. Okay, you know what? I'm doing this. So you can't put Dr. Allen and the trainer against each other because they're on the same.
So my apologies for over talking, but he kept freezing and I didn't know where he started and where
I know. So I think the recording is off now. And
No, it's still going.
is it? Okay, so end broadcast. Do we want to end the broadcast?
Yes.